Puerto Rico's Act 60 tax incentives, including the ever-popular export services and individual resident investor decrees, offer U.S. citizens and permanent residents the opportunity to save big on taxes. The one catch is that they must commit to a life in Puerto Rico and become a bona fide Puerto Rican resident to reap the benefits. But given the gorgeous beaches, vibrant culture, and relatively low living expenses Puerto Rico offers, that's hardly a downside. Bona fide Puerto Rican residency is characterized by 3 tests: the presence test, the tax home test, and the closer connection test. The presence test is the most complicated, with several routes to satisfy the requirement. In general, the purpose is to ensure that decree holders spend more time in Puerto Rico than in the U.S. This can be achieved either by spending at least 183 days in the tax year in Puerto Rico, or 549 days in the last 3 tax years in Puerto Rico. If you choose the latter option, you must be sure to spend at least 60 days in Puerto Rico each year. Alternatively, you can satisfy the presence test by spending no more than 90 days in the U.S. during the tax year, earning no more than $3,000 in the U.S. and spending more time in Puerto Rico than in the U.S. during the tax year, or having no significant connections to the U.S. during the tax year. Any day that you're physically present in Puerto Rico, even if just for a few hours, counts as a presence day in Puerto Rico. If you spend more time in Puerto Rico than the U.S., you can also get 30 free international travel days that count as Puerto Rico presence days as long as you travel somewhere other than the U.S. Of course, exceptions for special circumstances such as medical treatment or natural disasters may also allow for additional U.S. days. The tax home test is simpler. All you need to do is maintain your tax home in Puerto Rico throughout the entire tax year. Your tax home is where your primary workplace or your primary residence, if you don't have a primary workplace, is located. The final bona fide residency test is the closer connection test, which evaluates whether you have stronger ties to Puerto Rico or the U.S. The closer connection test is subjective and can be satisfied in a number of ways, so the best solution is to demonstrate as many ties to Puerto Rico as possible. We advise buying a home in Puerto Rico, moving your family and belongings to Puerto Rico, opening a Puerto Rico bank account, obtaining a Puerto Rican driver's license, registering to vote in Puerto Rico, and affiliating with social, cultural, and other organizations in Puerto Rico, among other measures. It can be difficult to satisfy all the bona fide residency tests, particularly the tax home test, in the year of your move, which is why the IRS has introduced the year of the move exception. If you weren't a bona fide Puerto Rican resident for the 3 years before your move, maintain bona fide residency for the 2 years after your move, and keep your tax home in Puerto Rico for the last 183 days of the tax year, you can achieve bona fide residency in the year of your move. Puerto Rico's bona fide residency tests may seem intimidating, but if you truly commit to a life in Puerto Rico, they're easy to fulfill. Not only is Puerto Rico a seaside paradise with year-round sunny weather and a lively Hispanic culture, but bona fide Puerto Rican residency is also necessary to reap the lucrative tax benefits Act 60 offers. Relocating to Puerto Rico may just be the best investment you've ever made. If you have any questions about moving to Puerto Rico or applying for the Act 60 tax exemptions, reach out to us at info@relocatepuertorico.com or 1-855-735-2283.